What are systemd targets? Well, they're a way of managing relationships between all the units you have. You have hundreds of units on any system, really. And targets are a way of having kind of manageable system state or like phases during boot that you can kind of order all of those units under, right? You don't want a chain of dependencies that you have to manually manage. Like, oh, Nginx depends on this network service and that network service depends on another thing. That's what systemd is supposed to do for you. So you shouldn't have to know all about that. Or like in sys5init, have a perfectly ordered initd directory with like numbered files in exactly the right order for them to start. It becomes a bit of a nightmare when you have a ton of units that you're manually kind of managing. So targets are a nice way of grouping units together and letting systemd figure out exactly what order everything needs to be in. It's a bit like the kind of Terraform of Linux, if you'll pardon me. It's basically, it figures out the dependencies for you. So if you know sys5init and run levels, like numbered run levels, you can think of targets as basically named run levels. So as a system boots, it'll go through successive stages where different kind of targets have been reached, and that each target kind of implies all of the services that target wants are up. I'll give you an example. Here I've run systemctl list units, filtering down to target with -- type equals target. And you can see here the active and loaded targets. Some of the interesting ones, this is a graphical system. You're not going to see this on servers, but multi-user.target is basically the end state. It's the last one that gets reached in general. You can create some custom ones that get reached after that, but this is basically the system's up, like networking's up, everything's up. Multiple users are ready to log in. You're not in some rescue state. Another interesting one are these networking ones are interesting. Particularly, I use network pre and network online a lot. It's not unusual if you're dealing with a network service that you can basically say in your unit file, yes, this is wanted by multi-user target, but I don't know. I want to change the MAC address on my network. Well, then I might want network pre, right? So before the network starts coming up, I want to munge some of the device and hardware and config stuff. Likewise, if you're just using console as an example, because I recently wrote a unit file for that, console needs the network to do what it does, to do service discovery, to do key value stuff, to talk to the console cluster. Well, you need a network for that. It doesn't make sense to start that before networking. You're just going to get a lot of errors in your logs. So it makes sense to start that after network online and then list any other specific service dependencies that it has in its unit file. You can switch between these targets the way that you can switch between run levels in sys5init with systemd isolate and then some like target name like sysinit target. That would basically bring everything, well, now we're in multi-user target, so it would stop a ton of stuff and get us back to sysinit target. I don't use this ever, really, but it's there, so you can move between targets if you absolutely want to. Especially if you're in something like rescue target. Here, we'll pass -- all to see even the... so these are the ones that are not active, but loaded. So rescue target, you're logged in. It's like more of a single user mode. You're troubleshooting. It starts a minimum of services just to get the machine like troubleshootable. Fine. Like, yes, here you fix some stuff and you want to see if it works without rebooting. Well, here you could run systemctl isolate and then the next target and see if you get there without crashing or failing. That's really the only situation that I've imagined using systemctl isolate. If you want to be a cool hacker, you could always say systemctl isolate power off.target. It's the init 0 of the modern Linux world. If you run systemctl get default, it will show you, oh, I was thinking we were in multi-user. I'm so used to working on servers that this, like working in a graphical interface, I didn't realize graphical target must be a target on top of, or further than multi-user. On a server, you'll generally see multi-user.target being the last one that happens. Systemctl get default shows you where your system tries to get to. Like, you start your system, here's the last target it approaches, right? Aside from the kind of dependency and requirement stuff I've already talked about, just through unit files and through these targets, which are basically kind of state groupings of units, there are some commands in systemctl for kind of managing this. I'm just going to show you this because it exists, not because I think you should do this, and I'll tell you why in a second. Systemctl add once would basically, if I said basically multi-user.target, in fact, I'm going to comment this out and just show you, and we'll say nginx.service. Okay, what this is basically saying is, okay, I actually want multi-user target to now include nginx service. This is basically, you're just enabling nginx essentially for this target. So this is another way of essentially auto-starting your service when this target is reached, or before this target is reached. However, I think this is terrible, and I understand that this might have to exist, and I'm adding it here because it's in the documentation, but what I want to say is, do these things in your unit files. Like, if you need nginx to start depending on a bunch of other stuff, then what you should do is copy the existing nginx unit file, stick your copy into etc systemd system, because that gets read last, so it'll overwrite this other unit file, and then make your customizations there and add a comment like, this has been customized by Dave. In fact, you should write that on yours too, regardless of what your name is. You want to keep everything as local to your unit files as possible, because it doesn't make sense to have this thing be kind of registered in the multi-user target unit file, right? Like, because it's a dependency on another service. It's about that service. It should be in that service's unit file, and in this case, it is. So just having it in the install section with wanted by statements is much better than manually adding nginx to the multi-user target with this command, right? There's no real record of this unless you go through like all of your targets regularly and look at anything that's been added there. So in terms of managing a real system, again, always prefer state management, right? And keeping state together, like in config files, over this procedural approach, like this old sysadmin, I'm going to manually run commands, and like somewhere in the system it will be recorded that there's now this dependency between these, but you would never see it in the nginx unit file, which means you would make a lot of very bad decisions during like a production outage and be like, why isn't this working? Why is it always coming up, even though I don't have a wanted by? So again, burn this into your mind. Actually, don't burn it into your mind. Burn it into your mind that you don't want to do this. Burn the construct that you saw in that unit file into your mind. Wanted by belongs, it's not in the target that this is, it's not about the target, it's about this service, and so it should be in the services unit file. Sorry if that sounds pedantic, but it's actually a big deal, and until you understand that that's a big deal, you're going to have very painful things happen.